What's up? Welcome everybody to the MongoDB live stream. We are live on both YouTube and Twitch right now. So welcome from both platforms. We are glad to have you here. So let me introduce everybody. If you don't know us, my name is Lauren Schaefer and I'm a developer advocate here at MongoDB. And let me pass things down to Megan.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm the owner of a Spark content agency, and I work with Mongo to help them make their content shine even more.
Yay.
And I'm Nick, and I'm on the developer relations team with Lauren.
Whoop, whoop. All right. Well, I always love to hear where everybody's from because we've got such a global audience. So share with us in the chat where you're coming in from. So I'm live today from Pennsylvania, which is on the east coast of the U.S. Megan, where are you coming in from?
I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Ooh, West Coast.
Yep.
I'm over here in California, but not in the Bay Area.
Is that an important clarification?
It is, because there's more to California than just the Bay Area or Los Angeles. So it gets lost in translation somewhere.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So yeah, tell us where you're from. And to kick things off, we're going to attempt a live Menti quiz. We'll see how it goes. What's up, Michael from Germany? It's our bud, MongoDB champion, Michael. Glad to have you here. So we're curious if you write as part of your job. So I don't know if these are clear. These are the answers I came up with this morning. Yes, I write professionally. I'm doing it part of my day job. Or no, I write more in my free time. Maybe it's professional stuff, maybe not. You write both. Or no, you're not writing yet, but you're excited to get started. So if you want to answer a question, we'd love for you to. You can go to menti.com and use the code on the screen. And maybe we can type that in for you. We'll try.
Yeah, I can try to type it in there. It's at menti.com, and then the code is 2014-5462.
Yes. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
What's up, Otto? Glad to have you here.
Sent that only to YouTube. Let me send it to Twitch too.
Thank you.
And I'm MongoDB in the chat in case anyone's curious. Speaking of the chat, we just reiterate on what Lauren said. We are live, so please definitely engage with us in the chat. This is your opportunity to get the help that you need here and grow your success.
Yeah, Megan has a lot of experience with SEO, and we'll dig into what SEO is in just a minute. But I ask her a ton of questions all the time about SEO, and she's got it all in her head. So if you have SEO questions, this is the place to ask.
SEO is my favorite.
Hey.
Oh,
Cool. So it looks like we've got people, we're a little split here. We've got people who are writing a lot, both personally and professionally. And we've got some people who are brand new to writing. So this will be fun. All right, I've got one more quiz for you. We'll see how it goes. So who is your audience? And this is a free write, I think, if I set it up correctly. Who is your audience? Are you writing to developers? Are you writing for recipes, like a recipe blog? Like who are you writing to? And please shout if I did not set up the quiz correctly and you can't type in your own answer. Developers.
Nice. It works.
Should I be going into this quiz too?
Yeah, tell us. Are you going to write like Pokemon peeps?
Yeah, Pokemon peeps, shenanigans, general wildness, all that good stuff, right?
Yeah. Okay, I keep seeing developers flash back up, so that must be the most popular answer. Must be getting multiple hits on that. Non-IT people. Okay, cool. Now I'm curious. Tell us in the chat who you're writing to. What are you writing about? Pokemon trainers. Okay.
There you go. I feel like I had to add it. I found my way into the quiz.
Excellent. Pokemon peeps. So, you know what? Why don't we take a minute and plug our socials real quick? So we'd love to connect with you. I've got a banner here somewhere. Yeah, I'm on. Oh, there's Megan. Let's plug Megan.
Yep, I'm on Twitter. I'm everywhere. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok. So if you ever want to connect and reach out, let me know that we met here and come say hello.
Cool. You can find me very similar. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And there's my link tree with all of my links on it. And Nick, tell us all about your Pokemon shenanigans.
All my shenanigans. Well, I think if you just find my Twitter over here, I don't have a fancy banner, it appears, but you can find all my links on my Twitter bio. But yeah, all kinds of shenanigans.
Cool. Oh, hey, Luce. Glad to have you here. Luce is one of our amazing teammates. All right. So I think we're ready to jump on in then, but please do ask questions throughout and we will pause and answer them. All right. So I'm going to pull down this screen. I'm going to head over to the slides. Yeah.
Sweet.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about SEO, and that means search engine optimization. We'll get into that a bit deeper in just a minute. So we're going to be talking about how to write articles for both Google and the reader. All right. So Megan, kick things off. Like, why do we even care? I mean, can't you just like write your blog, hit publish, and be done with it?
You could, but that's not really going to work in your favor a whole lot. The way you want to look at it is like this, and the numbers will vary depending on who you're talking to, but we know that anywhere from about 4.4 million to 7.5 million new blogs are published every single day. So if you want your content to be seen, then you have to be writing for both Google and the reader, and that's going to help you rank higher and be more visible. Would you like to tell people a little more about you, Lauren?
Sure. So my background's in software engineering. I spent 8 years as a software engineer at IBM. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I currently work as a developer advocate at MongoDB, where I've been learning so much from Megan about SEO. And yeah, there's my link tree again. So please do connect with me on social.
Perfect. And just a little bit more about me, and that's my dog Peanut. I had to include him. Like I said, I'm the owner of Spark Content Agency. We write optimized, researched blogs, and I've got about 12 years of experience as a writer and editor. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm on all the channels. So if you want to reach out, I'd love to connect with you.
All right, I got to take a minute and pause and celebrate this. Luce's book proposal just was accepted today. So she's going to be writing a book about MongoDB and .NET. We're very excited. Yay!
Yay! Go Luce!
Go Luce! All right, so today we're going to be asking Megan a lot of questions about writing for both Google and the reader. So the big question right off the bat, what is SEO?
All right, so when we're talking about SEO, we are technically talking about two different things. The first thing we want to think of is writing for the search engine. And in this case, for the sake of this talk, we'll just talk about Google specifically. When Google is looking at your blog post, it's trying to understand how to rank it. So you want to give it hints. And these hints are going to not totally, but partly determine whether you end up on page 1 in the search engine or page 10.
So why do we care about being on page 1? I mean, as long as you're somewhere in the search results, isn't that good enough?
These days, no, because it's too competitive and too saturated. Again, these are estimates, but one source, it came from Moz specifically, they said that the first page of Google gets about 71% of search traffic clicks, and that number might actually be as high as 92%. So essentially, the only way you're going to get clicked is if you're on page 1. Now, on the flip side, if you land on page 2 of Google search results, that number drops to 6%. So if you are not on page 1, your odds of being seen are very slim. But like we said, this is about two different things. And we're not just writing for Google, we're writing for the reader as well. And the reader doesn't really care about hints so much. They just want you to give them the information that they need. So that's why you want to write for Google and the reader. And we're going to cover both of those things in all of the upcoming slides.
All right. So the first thing we need to do when we're preparing to write is pick a topic. So Megan, how do we go about that first step, picking a topic?
Right, exactly. We want to make sure we're writing about things that people actually care about. So you want to find a topic that people are searching for in Google, because you might think it's a really great idea, but if you don't research it ahead of time, then you can't really confirm that people are even looking it up in Google and that there's any interest or demand for it. So fortunately, there are a couple of really simple ways that you can come up with topics, and we will go over both of those. So let's say, and this is going to be super broad for now, let's say that you want to write something about data lakes, but you don't know what yet. So one way to come up with a topic ideas is to use the people also ask feature in Google. So what I did as an example, I searched data lakes, and this is what Google showed me. It's just a little bit down the page 1 results. These are related searches that people have actually performed in Google. People have looked up these exact phrases. So you know that these are things that they care about. Another way to come up with topic ideas is to use the related searches feature in Google. And to see that, you're just going to want to scroll all the way down to the bottom of page 1. And again, this is what Google returned when I searched data lakes. Now, similar to the people also ask section, these are searches people have conducted. So once again, we know this is stuff that they care about. So those are two very simple, very free ways to find topics that you can do without ever leaving Google.
So Megan, I got a question for you. I'm going to throw just randomness at you here.
Yeah.
You showed that Google had what other people are searching for suggestions right there. Do you know if those are random, or are those like sorted by the most popular searches that are made?
That's a tricky one to answer, because it's also going to depend on your activity in Google, things like your location, your previous searches. Something that you could do to help you determine exactly like what you're asking, Nick, is you can actually use this extension called Keywords Everywhere. And when you have that in your browser, it will show you next to all of these searches the monthly traffic, which we'll get to in a few minutes, and also the competition. But generally, we can, for the most part, assume that these are the more relevant, targeted searches related to what we initially looked up, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And is the tool Keywords Everywhere? Is that keywordseverywhere.com? I want to share it in the chat so that way there's record of it.
I believe that's it. And I can actually, when we start talking about keywords, which we're coming up to next, I can show you real quick. Full disclosure, it is a paid tool, but you can start with the smallest investment, which is $10, and it goes a very, very, very long way.
Got it.
Okay. So I will keep going here. Okay. So once you have an idea of what topic you want to write about, you want to narrow down your keyword, because this is going to determine, what exactly you will optimize your blog around, which we'll get to in a minute. Now, there are two things you want to consider when you're looking at keywords. You want something that is high traffic and low competition.
What do you mean by high traffic?
Okay, so high traffic means that a lot of people are searching for it in Google. So every month, a lot of people are going and typing it into the search bar.
Okay, yep, that seems important. And what'd you say the other thing we need is?
The other thing we want to look at, is the competition. And we want something that's low competition, which means that not a lot of other websites are blogging around that keyword, and it'll be easier to rank for. So we want something that a lot of people are searching for, but not a lot of people are creating content around. And this is where we can talk about Keywords Everywhere if you'd like. There are a bunch of tools that can help you with your keyword research. One is SEMrush, and I'm going to show you a few examples using this tool specifically. So we'll focus on that for the remainder of this. You can sign up for this and use it for free. It'll limit how many searches you can do and how much data you can pull, but it's more than enough to get you going. Some other examples are Ahrefs, Moz, Keywords Everywhere, and Ubersuggest. And if you want, I think I can just exit out of here. So Keywords Everywhere, yeah, it's keywordseverywhere.com. And you can look at the pricing over here. But like I said, just start with the, this might be a little slow. Start with the lowest tier right here. You're paying for credits, and you might never even need to really renew this, like pay for more, because it just lasts a really long time. Okay, am I still good here? I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I lost my presenter notes.
You look good to me. Oh,
Where'd they go? Sorry, give me 1 second.
That's the most magical.
now we
button.
see only your notes. Oh, never mind.
We saw the secrets.
Oh boy.
Oh, it fixed itself.
Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna hope for the best because this is not working now. All right. So as an example, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna focus on SEMrush. And I went in SEMrush and searched example of data lake. And full disclosure, you know, this is the type of thing, it's gonna take some trial and error. You're gonna have to play around with it. That's totally normal. So I went in SEMrush. Again, I'm using this for free. And I typed in example of data lake. And maybe this is what it's showing me. So it's telling us that this word, this phrase is searched 20 times a month, which is pretty low. And the keyword difficulty is 46%, which is decent, but we want to consider that in relation to the traffic. And this isn't great. We can do better. So then what I did was I backed up a little bit and I made my search more broad. So I just started with data lake, super broad. And here's what it's telling me. The volume is great, over 18,000 searches a month, but the keyword difficulty is even higher than it was before. That's okay. This still might be telling us that we're on the right track. And what we would keep doing is just playing around with these keywords, trying different things in SEMrush, typing in different words, different combinations of words, and eventually you would find something that was higher traffic and lower competition, and that's something that you could blog around. As an example, one of the things I love about this tool, if you were to scroll down in SEMrush on that main results page after you search something, you will see here, it'll give you keyword suggestions. And if you look on the left side right here, you see data lake versus data warehouse, and it's telling us that the monthly volume is 5.4 thousand and the keyword difficulty is 44%. So the difficulty is still up there, but the traffic is a lot better. And we could just keep playing around with these keywords until we kind of strike gold and find something that we're happy with. But these are generally the two numbers you're going to look at, the volume and the keyword difficulty.
Do you have a sense of like what a good volume is? Does it depend on the topic or the industry, or how do you know if you've hit a good volume?
It's going to depend on what kind of keyword you're trying to target. So generally, if you had asked me maybe a year ago, I would have said, don't use a keyword that has any fewer than 1,000 searches a month. But if you're going after something that's very specific and it ends up having very low competition, it's kind of like low-hanging fruit, and you could rank first. You're not just, you are trying to rank on page one, but when you can land on page one for any term, you're also kind of building authority in Google because you're outranking everybody else. So does that mean it could be okay to go after keywords that have maybe a few hundred searches per month? Yeah. I would definitely get some variety in there, though. Don't only go after really low volume. You want some bigger keywords as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. And Lauren, stop me because I don't have my notes up. It is malfunctioning. If I'm talking over you, just interrupt me. So we've got the topic, we've got the keyword. The last thing we want to consider is something called user intent. Sometimes this is also called search intent. And essentially what this refers to is what someone is trying to learn when they search for something in Google. And it's going to be the difference between your blog being way off topic versus, giving the reader everything they want to know about. And sometimes the user intent is going to be really obvious. Like if your keyword you decide is going to be data lake versus data warehouse, it's pretty self-explanatory. But let's say you were writing a blog and the topic was, what are data lakes? That is a huge idea. And, there could be a lot of information in that blog. So what exactly do you talk about? It's really easy to figure this out. So what you do is all you're going to do is take your keyword and you're going to put it in Google. And do it incognito. So it'll give you slightly less skewed results. And in this example, I did data lake versus data warehouse. And all you're going to do is start going through everything ranking on page 1. And you want to pay particular attention to the top 3 ranking posts. And you want to start asking yourself questions like, what exactly are they talking about? How are they talking about it? Are there images, videos, code blocks, GIFs? What's the approximate word count? And essentially, what you're trying to understand is, why are these pages ranking so well? Why do people like them so much? We know people like them because Google ranked them top. So we want to pay attention to what they're doing, never copy it, but use it as, inspiration for your own content.
You want to clarify on why incognito is important?
Yeah, so that's going to help remove things like, I believe it removes your search history. So, Google, it's like the social media platforms. Google gives you the results that it thinks will answer your own search intent, your own user intent, but it's also basing this off of things like your past searches. And when you're researching user intent, we don't want to look at your past searches. We want to consider, as big of a scope of people as possible. So we want to remove your own personal preferences from that as much as we can.
And this might be going down a further rabbit hole that we can ignore, but are we worried about results based on location? Does incognito mode still include your location, or will you be getting results back for people in your local area, but maybe not what people around the world are searching for? Or
I believe incognito will not. It will continue to factor in your location. By this point in the process, though, if you've used tools like SEMrush as an example, which you can actually focus on your own country, once you've done that and you've done your keyword research, by that point, you've covered your bases well enough that if you search incognito to see what the user intent is like, by that point, you're going to be fine. And I wouldn't stress too much about location at that point.
Got it.
Okay, cool.
All right. So we've got people here who love to code, right? And I guess I can take a guess at what they're thinking. All right, we've done a lot of research at this point. When do I get to start doing the code for my article?
And Lauren, is it okay if I put this one, throw this ball in your... Okay,
I'm happy to answer my own question. So I'll pretend. Yes, Lauren, that was a great question. So this is the fun part for those of you who are developers. Right now that you have your topic and your keyword, it's time to start actually getting your hands on the keyboard and writing the code. So if you're writing a series, I recommend building all of the code you're going to need for the entire series, right? There's nothing more frustrating than getting to that last article in a series and realizing that you should have tweaked your example just slightly to make it work throughout. Now, if something is fuzzy as you're building, like, don't gloss over it. Dig into the details, find the answers, and make a note of it for your article. Going deeper into the topic is going to take a little extra time, but your readers are going to really appreciate it. And they probably have the same questions that you do. All right, last piece on this. As you're looking at your code and figuring out how to break it up into multiple articles, consider the keywords that each article is going to target. So each post in the series should focus on different keywords, or the posts may end up competing against each other in the Google rankings. So this actually happened to me. I wrote a Node Quick Start series, which maybe Nick can grab a link. The Node Quick Start series, and
I'll dig it
Nick,
up.
you wrote one on Go, right? Is that right?
Possibly. It's been such a long
Possibly.
time ago. It's probable, yeah.
Probably. So when we first wrote these quick starts, we did a quick start series for a variety of different programming languages, and I wrote the Node one. And we initially broke up the CRUD operations, that's create, read, update, and delete, into 4 different posts. But it turns out people weren't searching for how to create documents on their own or how to update documents on their own. They were searching for CRUD as a whole. So what we did is, and we combined these articles into these mega articles. They're super long, but they took off in popularity. So you really got to pay attention to your keyword and make sure that each article is targeting a specific keyword that people are searching for.
Yeah, that's also a really good opportunity if you are writing a series like what the example you gave, Lauren. Don't forget that they're not operating as isolated blogs. You can link between them and keep sending traffic back and forth, and you get a lot of bang for your buck.
Cool. All right. So at this point, right, we've picked a topic, we've picked our keyword, we've started writing our code, we've written our code. Can we finally start writing our article now, Megan?
No.
No.
We've got one more step. And I know this is the step that a lot of us are tempted to skip because we just kind of want to get to the exciting part. But I will always encourage writers to outline their blog. And the reason for that is because it's going to save you a lot of headaches later on. It's actually going to help you write a lot faster. And whatever your review process might be on your team, whoever's editing your content, it's going to make their jobs a lot easier too. We don't have to make this super complicated. One way to look at it is you've got this title of your blog, and the title really is the main focus of the blog. It's the main overarching topic you're going to discuss. All you're going to do is take that topic and you're going to break it down into 2 main topics. As a side note, which we'll get to this in a minute, these will be your H2s, your headings, right? And you might have 2 to 4. You're not going to have a ton though, because really these subtopics here should support whatever the title is focusing on, whatever that overarching subject is. And then from there, you break your main topics down into subtopics. So kind of look at it like a tree, or I guess like a spider, not really a spider web. I don't know what shape that is, but kind of essentially just breaking it down into smaller pieces that you will eventually write about in your content.
All right. So now do we get to start writing?
All right. So now we get to move on to the draft. And we've said throughout this whole conversation, we're writing for Google and the reader. So let's start with Google. You've got your keyword, and here's what you're going to do with it. You're going to put it in your title, your URL, the first paragraph, at least one header, ideally an H2, and you're going to sprinkle it throughout the blog where it feels natural. Now, full disclosure, you might go back through your first draft and find that you already did all this. And if it happened that naturally, then that's great. That's perfect. If it didn't happen, that's okay. You would just want to go back through your content and ask yourself, okay, how could I naturally work the keyword in? These are the hints that we're giving Google so that it understands how to rank you.
And I'm going to jump in real quick here. Something that used to trip me up is I always thought that your headers would be your H1s, but my understanding is that your H1 is your title, and then your H2 are your headings throughout. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because that even confused me at first. So your title, the title of your blog is technically a header. It is an H1. Now, the thing is, depending on what CMS you're working in, if you go into the body of the blog and you highlight a piece of text to make it a header, it might give you the option to make that an H1 as well. But you only ever want one H1 in a single blog post, because you are telling Google, this is the main topic of this page, and you can't have more than one main topic.
Just to clarify for confusion as well. So if our blog, like the website itself, is using an H1 for the actual website, title. What do we do about the blog title? Do we want to make the website title not an H1, or does that get into some sticky territory?
That I feel like that's definitely, I wouldn't even know how to start, how to tackle that one.
So I think a lot of WordPress themes use H1 as the site title that usually appears like at the top left of the page, or who knows? Don't make the site title an H1. All right. Yeah. All right.
Otto
That's a really
no.
good question. Yeah.
All right.
No, that's a good point. But, that's something else to consider when we're talking about, the SEO and ranking. There are so many factors involved. So something else that, like, if your site title were an H1, something that could be working in your favor is like your URL structure. So if someone's clicking on a URL to go to a blog post, there's a good chance that the URL is something like /blog/ the title. So that's helping Google in that case say, like, this is a different page. We want it ranking for something else. And, it's just one of many factors at play.
Speaking of anti-patterns, did you know there are MongoDB schema design anti-patterns? I feel like Otto is just setting me up there. Yeah. All right, back to you, Megan.
Okay. And I want to go back to this whatever Christmas tree spider web, whatever we want to call this thing. So we were talking about headers a moment ago. And one thing to consider about this, a little bit of a side note. So you made this chart earlier when you were outlining, and I kind of mentioned this already. There's a good chance you can take whatever you jotted down in this chart, and those are your headers right there. So the work is kind of already done. And really take these headers seriously because, first of all, Google's paying extra special attention to them, which is why you ideally want to have a keyword in there. But also, a lot of your readers aren't actually reading word for word. They're just skimming. So you want to make it really easy for them to skim, but still walk away having learned something. So you can really utilize those headers to kind of convey the main points of the blog so that even if they don't read it, they grasp the main concepts.
Yeah, I'm super guilty of this. I'll skim articles and just look for the pieces that interest me. So I really appreciate when authors use headers appropriately and make it easy to find what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people are reading, and it's a good opportunity. Sometimes people just throw something in the header for the sake of having it because they know it's good for SEO. But if it's not saying anything substantial, then it's kind of a moot point.
Yeah.
Okay, so a little bit of a side note, but this is definitely worth mentioning. Google's got something called a featured snippet. And what it looks like, here's an example. I searched, how do you rank in Google? And towards the top of the page 1 results, it shows me this. This is a featured snippet. So essentially what Google did was it was looking at all of its top results, all of the top ranking pages, and it noticed this page from Backlinko, and it was like, oh, this page perfectly sums up the answer to this search query. And so it shows this to its users, to Google's users, so that it gives them the answer they need really quickly. And people don't even have to click through to a result, to a page, if they don't want to. But if they do want to click through, odds are they're going to click this blog because it takes up so much real estate on page 1. Now, there's nothing we can do to force ourselves into the Google snippet. We can't control it, but we can do little things to kind of tip the odds in our favor. Something you want to ask yourself when you're writing your blog is, somewhere in this post, where can I answer the search query in one paragraph? So if you are writing a blog and the topic of the blog is what are data lakes, somewhere in that blog, you would want to say, what are data lakes? Data lakes are blah, 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 blah. And in just a few sentences, answer the question, because that's what Google is looking for when it's trying to pull a featured snippet. And
would it be acceptable to put that in the conclusion of the article?
I will always say that the higher up you can post it, the better, only because I don't believe this is something Google has ever confirmed. They don't confirm much, but we've kind of noticed like a lot of SEOs and people who research this stuff, that the higher up on a page a word or a phrase or information is, Google weighs it more heavily. So that's why, for instance, you want to try to get your keyword in the first paragraph. And it's good for the reader too. You want the reader to know they're in the right place. Same thing with the title. The closer to the front of the title you can get your keyword, the better. The closer to the front of the URL, the better.
Got it. And real quick, for everyone tuning in live right now, make sure before you leave today, smash that like button on YouTube. Give us a like. It just takes a second. Sorry, I won't interrupt.
Smash the like button. All right. So
All right.
Oh, sorry.
I wanted to ask you a question, Megan.
Yeah.
Megan, you've given us so much helpful information. So can you summarize this for us? What does this all mean?
The bottom line here is to, again, look at this as a twofold approach. You want to write for Google and the reader. The one thing I want to remind you of, though, the one thing I want to leave you with is that Google's number one priority is giving the user the best experience possible. So that means that your priority should be making the user happy. And if you make the user happy, you're going to make Google happy, and Google is going to rank you very high for it. So follow SEO best practices, make the user happy, give them the information that they want, and you will be rewarded for that. Hooray.
Hooray. We've made it. So, yeah, we are having a lot of fun hanging here. Thank you. I hope you're having fun here with us too. So we've got some time. If you have SEO questions, please drop them in the chat. We can play Stump Megan with your SEO questions. I'm sure she appreciates that. But yeah, let us know what are your questions, and we'll be happy to hang and answer them.
So I'll kick it off then, so that way it's not like absolute silence right here. So you listed off a bunch of tools, right? Early on, SEMrush, Keywords Anywhere, things like that. What if you're like a hobbyist kind of freelance blogger? You don't work for a corporation. You can't afford all the tooling. What are like the bare minimum essentials that you recommend people either can get for free or invest in to really make a difference in their writing?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the first metrics that I would always prioritize are the monthly traffic and the competition. And fortunately, there are, all the tools that I mentioned, you can, except for Keywords Everywhere, you can start to use those for free. SEMrush is free with limited searches. To be transparent, it's a super robust tool. So if you create an account for free and start to look for those two metrics, traffic and competition, you're going to see a ton of data in there. You can disregard that if you want, if you're just trying to get your feet wet. Uber suggests, I think you get 3 free searches a day. Great tool, still pretty robust, but not anywhere near SEMrush. So if you're looking for something that's a little more user-friendly, that's a good one to start with.
Anything you want to add, Lauren, to this? No, I don't have tools, but I do have a question for Megan. I do have a question. So Megan goes through and edits like all of our articles that go on the Dev Hub, which is amazing. It's a huge task. Megan, what do you see as the most common mistake either we hit or other people hit? Like, what's the most common SEO mistake you see people making?
Honestly, not doing the research in advance. Well, no, that's not fair to say. I would say looking at those specific metrics, because I think a lot of us, even without purposely doing topic research, we kind of do topic research anyway. If you go into, start drafting up a blog and you have an idea of a topic you want to write about, you're already off to a good start. At that point, I would say then it's really a matter of like fine tuning the approach. A lot of writers kind of blow past that part in general, because to us, writing is an art, and it's an opportunity to be creative. A lot of us don't want to think about like numbers or data when we're trying to write a blog, it can actually feel disruptive. So they might not be thinking about going into SEMrush or Ubersuggest, but really even just like 5 additional minutes of kind of, sifting through that information, like the traffic, it will become a very like intuitive part of the process, and it will make a difference in the kind of engagement your content gets.
Yeah. I am super guilty of just blowing past that and writing about what I want to write about. So guilty.
Well, a lot of us do. I mean, you have this idea and you know exactly what you want to say. Like, who wants to pump the brakes at that point? You just want to sit down and write. And you can go back, to be clear, you can go back after the fact and go through all these steps. You just have to know that it might be more work than it would have been if you'd just done it ahead of time.
Yeah. And something I see people doing is publishing without doing a review. And I'm a huge advocate of reviews. And I know Nick is probably like, oh, I'm so tired of reviews. But I love a good review. I love a good technical review, having somebody check and make sure that it, your tutorial actually works. Because sometimes it's so easy to forget a step here or there, as well as having somebody go through and edit your grammar and make sure it's all readable. And that's what's really going to help. We've been talking a lot about Google, but that's the sort of thing that really helps your reader and is going to make your content really high quality.
Not tired
absolutely.
of reviews.
You're not tired of them?
I think people are tired of reviewing my work because I have very poor grammar and spelling. And
no, you don't. You are both amazing writers. No, everyone needs an editor, and it's like after looking through a draft so many times, your eyes start to kind of gloss over everything, and something might make perfect sense to you, but someone else might read it and be like, "What are you talking about?" So it's always good to have someone check over it, and I think Lauren, I think you do this. If you can kind of schedule your due dates if you're doing this for work to give yourself a little extra cushion, it's always a good idea to write a blog, walk away from it for a day or a couple of days, and then come back to it with fresh eyes, because you will catch mistakes or things that you want to change that you didn't see before.
Yeah, I always wait a day and at least a day before sending it out for somebody else, because I catch stuff. It's hard to get it all right the first time and clean. So it's definitely good to do a self-review.
Yeah, we're human.
Yeah.
So I have some questions, and we can choose to skip them because they weren't covered in this particular stream. But are there any like black hat techniques for SEO that should be skipped, like avoided at all costs, because it'll cause more damage than good?
I thought you were going to ask me if there were any I could recommend.
Oh, no.
You're talking to the wrong person. Quite a few. So the most common one that I still see, and I don't know why people are still doing this, is keyword stuffing. So actually, no, I know why they're doing it. Back in the day, years ago, you could get a page to rank.
Which is, could you elaborate on what keyword stuffing is first?
Yes, it is. Thank you. It's essentially including your keyword as many times as you can in your blog, like beyond the point where it sounds natural. And this used to work. People used to do this because you could get your page to rank 1 in Google by, let's say your keyword is data lake versus data warehouse. You could just take that phrase and randomly insert it even into like the very end of the blog after the blog has ended. You could just throw it in there like 20 times and it would rank you. That does not work anymore. Google's way too savvy for that. And not only does it not work, but it's going to hurt you, because Google's #1 priority is the reader having a good experience. So if a reader is going through your blog and it sounds unnatural and robotic and forced and people don't like it, this is all stuff that Google is watching. So it will hurt you. So that's a big one. Purchasing or, acquiring backlinks through any means that isn't organic. So a backlink is when another site links to your site. They give you a backlink. And these are really powerful in Google's eyes, because when someone links to your blog post, they're essentially saying, I vouch for this blog post. I think it's great. I'm recommending it to my audience. And that's really powerful because it's someone else saying that your work is really good. And it's even more powerful if it comes from a really authoritative, big, trustworthy website. So what that means is that some people, brands, businesses will purchase backlinks and, with the intention of showing Google, look at how many people are linking to us. They love us. But Google knows when it's not authentic. And a lot of the time when people, this is very black hat, when people do this, they'll purchase like hundreds or thousands of backlinks, which all go live at the same time. And what happens is if you look at your analytics, your site is going to do this. It's going to take off. And this type of progress is not natural. This type of progress is natural. It's not linear. And Google's going to see that.
I mean, what happens if you're like the next Taylor Swift or something and you do something viral and I imagine it would go straight up. Is that a different kind of scenario?
It is. I mean, Google can tell the difference between something that took off and went viral and blew up overnight and a random website that got a bunch of random backlinks. It can tell the difference. And what's going to happen is it's going to go through all of those links and it's going to disavow them, which essentially means Google is going through every link and going, we're not going to count this. This isn't allowed. And it's going to go through and do that to every single link. And then your traffic is going to do that. So I don't even want to call it short-term gain because really it's just like bad news all around.
All right, I'm going to topic jump for just a minute. We've got a question here about tutorials for MongoDB Realm Kotlin, and I saw Nic's been answering to go to the MongoDB Developer Hub. I'm also going to give, that is the place to go. It's mongodb.com/developer. That's where all of our tutorials are. But there is also a Realm meetup online, and they meet pretty frequently. They just met on October 20th, a couple days ago. And that's a great place to go and get all your Realm questions answered. So if you're looking to chat with people live about Realm, check out that group, join it, and then you'll get updates whenever they have a new meetup happening. All right. And tangent. Back to SEO. So I'm going to talk about backlinks real quick, as I've seen some people talking about like, we will link to you, but we don't want to like create backlinks. Like they don't want to give the appearance of backlink schemes. Like what is acceptable and what's not acceptable? Like if we were to post on another company's blog because we're collaborating on a project together, how can we do that without Google thinking we're doing some sort of a bad backlink scheme?
So that's a great example of something that would be okay. If you're doing a collaboration or a partnership of some sort, and let's say Lauren, your website and Nic's website, you guys meet and you say, hey, let's collab and let's each write a guest blog for each other because you have similar audiences and you link to each other so that you're essentially creating backlinks for each site. You're creating content, you're serving your audience. There's nothing wrong with that. It's great. So if you're forming relationships and having conversations with people because you would like a link, where you want to start being careful is if, for instance, I get these emails frequently from random people. They say, hey, you wrote a blog about blah, blah, blah. I wrote a blog about this. Can you link to my blog? And I say, no.
Okay.
I don't know you. I don't know you. I don't know your content. And it needs to be beneficial for both sides. Like you don't want a super, super low quality site linking to yours because because there's the people kind of call it like SEO juice. That's why like if Forbes linked to your site, holy cow, that's exciting because it's Forbes or the New York Times or whoever. It doesn't have to be that big, but a really reputable site. Now, if, like Joe Schmo linked to your blog and you went to his website and he's got this terrible, glitchy, spammy looking site, I'd contact him and be like, can you not link to me? Yeah. Obviously you can't control that completely, but like, if it's genuine, and sometimes people will hit you up and they just want you to link to them, and all they're trying to get is the backlink.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think we've hit all the questions in the chat. Did we miss any, Nick?
No, I think that was it. I mean, maybe I'll plug this question out to the chat for anyone tuning in. What kind of topics do you want us to stream about next time? We're always taking feedback on what you're the most interested in. So we'll let that linger. I don't know. Do you want to close anything out, Lauren?
Well, while that's lingering, let's maybe give people some ideas of things we've covered in the past for people who are new. So I know we've talked about, I love to talk about schema design anti-patterns. So I'll just say that word again because I like to say it. We've got Learn with Luce, where Luce tries new things. Nick, you had a super popular Pokemon stream. What did you do in that again? I forgot.
We made a Pokemon game. Yeah, I think that was a popular one that me and Otto are gonna do some more stuff on that in the future, since it's high demand.
Yeah, we've done Intro to MongoDB. What else have we done? We've got a lot of stuff. So yeah, please tell us what you want to see in the future.
And if you miss any of those previous ones, they're on the YouTube channel. So all of them can be accessed on demand in case you missed one and one sounds interesting to you.
I don't know, Megan, do you have any final words of wisdom here?
I think we about covered all of it. I just had fun geeking out. I always love talking about content, and it's good to see so many people in the chat, and always good to hang out with Lauren and Nick.
Yeah.
This is actually an interesting bit of feedback. I don't think we've done anything like this before, right? Roadmap related stuff?
Or I guess maybe we interpreted that differently. Are we talking about the roadmap of what MongoDB is going to be? Or are we talking about the roadmap of how to become a MongoDB developer? So, because I think I was interpreting how do I become a MongoDB developer. So tell us.
I interpreted the other way.
Where you're going. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna answer the question assuming it's how do I become a MongoDB developer? And the answer, maybe.
You're gonna plug another thing that you've done? Oh, all right.
This is not me. This is not me. I do love plugging my own content, but this is not me. This is MongoDB University. It's our free online training. Totally free. This is how we actually train our engineers who come into the company. This is how we train people external to the company. It's really high quality content. And you can come in and browse the courses. We've got an official certification, so you can show everyone that you are certified. You're an amazing MongoDB developer. And I think we've got a way to come in and there's a learning path that'll walk you through which courses you should take. So all that's available at university.mongodb.com.
Megan, I think we have a question coming in for you right now. Oops.
Oh, sorry.
Can we see it? Yeah. I'm assuming that if you add a numeric symbol to the title, does that help with the search? I don't know how you want to interpret that question.
So if you're saying, the pound symbol, like you would make a hashtag, as of right now, I don't know that does anything. I don't think Google is reading that in any unique way. So it's something great for social media, but I don't think anyone has found that to be beneficial for titles. Great question.
Okay, I'm going to ask a related question then. So I feel like listicles do super well on social media, like top 10 ways to do whatever. Does Google care about that at all? Does listicles play into raising your SEO, getting you higher?
Did you make that term up? That's the first time I've ever heard of this. Is that a thing? Listicle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
where have I been? Is that a TikTok? Is that a TikTok thing?
No, that's like a BuzzFeed thing. I feel like it came around with BuzzFeed.
Oh my gosh, I gotta get with it.
Yeah. No, Google will care about listicles because the readers love them. So yeah, titles with numbers in them tend to have a higher click-through rate. So meaning more people are clicking on them. So listicles are good. There has been a little research that's found that listicles that have odd numbers perform better than even numbers. I can't vouch for that personally, but I do know, I can say that I've seen titles with numbers get more clicks. Not to say that other types of titles don't offer, their own unique benefits, but people like listicles.
Is that like a
now
Gen
you know a
Z
new
thing?
word. No, I think this is a millennial thing. This has been around, like this is us browsing BuzzFeed. This has been around before. I feel like before
Wow.
Gen Z became people.
No, it's been
Adult.
around for a minute, because when I was first writing, I used to write for Bustle years ago. And I remember when I was first starting that was like my first big writing job. And my editor was like, okay, so we're going to do a listicle on blah, blah, blah. And I was like, sure, no problem. I thought, what the heck is a listicle?
All right. So Nick, your job this week is to go write a listicle about video game development.
There you go.
There you go. And we got a request in here for our next stream, MongoDB connectors, such as Kafka. I don't know that one. Debezium? What is that? Okay, now hopefully that's a real word and I didn't just say something like...
I'm sure we could find somebody. I think that's out of my scope of knowledge. Maybe all of ours on the stream right now. Do you know Kafka, Lauren?
I do not, but I know the word. Okay, Debezium is an open source distributed platform for change data capture. Oh, it looks like it's related to Kafka.
Got it.
So I'm probably saying it wrong because I just made up that pronunciation. But yeah, I know we've got people who know about Kafka. We should bring them in and let them talk about it.
Yeah, we'll find somebody. That sounds like a good one.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Well, I think that's all we got here today. Thank you all so much for hanging with us. Once again, I'm going to plug I'll say what Nick says, smash the like, the follow, share, smash the buttons, right?
Don't forget to throw in a few dopes in there, right?
Dope. That's old. That's like that's a millennial term, isn't it?
I know. I gotta get with it.
Yeah. Okay. And connect with us on social. We'd love to find you there. And we hope to see you again on the next stream. Oh, what's the next stream? Is Loose coming up? What's our next stream?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay. Look, this is like a live demo. Here we go. So this is what's happening right now. Learning with Loose is coming up. Oh, this is really cool. I've been peripheral involved in this one. Cassiano is one of our solution architects, and he's developed a Postman collection that has a request for every endpoint in the Atlas admin API. It's this huge collection. So they're going to walk through how to use it and how to get learning the admin API. So that'll be a lot of fun.
I'm wondering if that date is incorrect for Luce's. It's in January. Is that, you think that's real, or?
I think, yes, I think that may be real because
right.
we've got someone from the Postman team joining us live as well. So we had to sync up. So yeah, we'll have Cassiano, who created the collection. Luce is going to be doing all the learning, and then a developer advocate from Postman is going to be joining as well. And I don't know what this other one is.
It's interesting.
Oh, I bet Michael knows. This looks like the German meetup. Mm-hmm. So
if you scroll down, does it have his face?
Oh, yep. There's Michael. Yes.
There you go.
Very nice. That'll be a lot of fun. All right. Oh, Diego's here. And yes, Diego, we're leaving. You got to come on time, Diego. Come on. Can't show up now. All right. Okay, well, cool. It was great hanging with you all. I think we are going to sign off for today, but we will see you around social and see you on the stream. So have a great rest of your day, everybody. See ya.
Cool. Thank you.